Good afternoon and welcome to Entrepreneurs Live. Today we're going to introduce a brand new show to you guys, and I am absolutely honored to have this host with us. Today we are introducing to you how to establish your base camp with Steven Levy, and this is going to be awesome. Steven, welcome to your show, my friend.
Thank you, David. That's very kind of you. Welcome to our show. Just here, this is the David Dorf and Steve TV show. And thank you so much for having
I
me
love
on
it.
and inviting me on your show, David. It's a great privilege for me to be on your show and just to be part of what you're doing and what you're offering entrepreneurs. So it's really wonderful to to
I
be
love it,
to be
Steven.
part of that, and thank you for that.
Man, it's the biggest pleasure, Stephen. Stephen, I would love it if we can introduce you a little bit more so people can get to know you and who you are. Would you like to tell us who is Stephen Levy and who is Dare to Be Coaching?
Okay, so Steven Levy is just an ordinary guy that has a firm belief in really the power of people, that everybody has something unique to offer the world. And that's really what forms the core of what I believe in. And yeah, I live in Cape Town. He's a father with two kids and a new grandchild of 5 months, 6 months
That's
old,
cool.
which has turned his life around. And yeah, but I'm also very privileged to have 35 years of experience in various leadership positions, both in corporate and my own business. And I think that's really what's informed me, David, since I left school in 1976, is really informed me what a difference leaders can make to people that they lead. And that's in their lives, both personally and professionally. However, I must tell you what truly informs me in my coaching, and it was an immense contribution um, of what people can offer to business is very much from what I learned in sport, where I'll just break that down quickly for you and for your listeners, is that I learned very much about the power of teamwork. That's obviously in team sports and through my athletics, how we can push ourselves beyond what we're truly capable of. And I took these key components with me into business, into the corporate world, and into my own businesses, because it's people that build the business, whichever way you look at it.
Oh, wow. I like that, Stephen. That is quite awesome. And as we go on with the show on later episodes, we're going to share with people a little bit about that because that's quite fascinating that you've got there with your athletics and everything that you've done. I remember you sharing the story with me, and it's quite amazing. But for today, I think if you don't mind, let's touch on it a little bit and let's talk a little bit about establishing your base camp because this is something that's personally transformed my life and my business life, and this is why I couldn't wait to share this with the world, and especially from the master himself. So Stephen, if you don't mind, would you share it with us, how or what is it about establishing your base camp?
Well, David, this I've learned very much on my journey, and I'm sure a lot of you on my own journey, which I used in sort of strategies that I used in sport, that I used in business, and so on, as I've mentioned to you. But the base camp, as a lot of your listeners will know, will relate that to Mount Everest. I must also let you know that I've never climbed Mount Everest because I'm too scared to. And the reason I'm too scared to, I would love to, because the risk is death. So I'm not ready for that yet. But having said that, I have the greatest admiration for those brave men and women that have summited or even attempted to summit it. Whether they have or not is irrespective. That they've just attempted to summit this incredible, um, wow, piece of Mother Nature. The highest mountain in the world is amazing. And I read up a lot about it because I have an incredible love for the mountains. And I took my reading of Everest and I kind of ran it as an analogy into my coaching and using it in on my own journey. So whatever I share with you is nothing that I haven't done myself. I'm not asking anybody to do anything that I haven't done. And it's all relative. It's all relatively simple. It's not easy. And I love
Okay.
this. I like to bring in simplicity because that's who I am, and I believe it works. And especially today, because we live in an extremely complex world, I think we need to step back into simplicity. And coming back to the base camp, so why I used it is because I recognized in reading about Everest that this is a very important camp on the mountain, and it is more than halfway up the mountain. So even the journey to base camp in itself is a great accomplishment on its own. But the journey from the base camp through to the summit is where it really counts, those pushing for the summit. And your base camp that I've read up is really important to be, it's got to be established correctly, because this is where they can go back to if they hit any unexpected challenges, or if they're not acclimatized properly to shift from camp 1 or to move from camp 1 to camp 2 up the mountain. How does that relate to our journey personally and in business? Well, I've learned in my own personal journey and also through my coaching. I'm coaching. I've also had the real privilege of coaching at the moment leaders in 9 different countries. And
wow,
yeah, it's fantastic, David. I'm very grateful for that. But there's great lessons that I've learned from them, from everybody. I actually learn lessons from everybody that I coach. But the lessons that I learned from these leaders is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are geographically. The principles around becoming world-class remain the same. World-class as an individual or as an organization. And to set up the right platform, because it's tough. It's not an easy journey. And we all know, it's tough out there at the moment. I'm sure your listeners know how tough it is out there. But in order to give ourselves the highest probability of achieving that which we want to, or summiting, we each have our own Everest to climb. Mine was running Comrades. That was my Everest. And it was really tough, but the risk wasn't death. But what I want to share with you is that important to all of this, no matter which mountain we each choose to climb, it is important to set up a solid base camp, a strong foundation from which to work off, so that we can give ourselves the highest probability of achieving that which we want to. And we also need to understand that it's a journey. This is it's not an event. So I spend a lot of time with my clients setting up that base camp, and that's why I love it. I love it, and I don't use my journey on Comrades or my running of the Comrades as an analogy, because I know everybody can relate to Everest. They've all read about it or seen it in some form or another.
Yes, yes.
And it just makes sense. It made sense to me in how I used it in my life and sport and business and so on. And so I use it in my coaching process. So we spend a lot of time on that base camp, and the base camp is made up of many different components. And those components we'll obviously address in the future or forthcoming series that we're going to discuss every Thursday.
I like that. I like that, Steven.
But
what I like the most about this is, and I have to just quickly share this with you.
Yeah.
The base camp, when I first heard about this, I thought, Steven, what are you talking about? Down where I stay on the south coast, a base camp means it's where the boats launch from. And again, it actually makes sense. It's a place where safety is, or a place of security is, and you can move forward from there. So, wow, I'm excited for this. Very excited.
David, it's fascinating that you say that, and it's just come to me now. As you said, you relate to a base camp down on the south coast where boats are launched from. Yeah, but that still serves, that small boat harbor still serves as a place of safety, that if they go out to the river or go out to sea and they hit any unexpected challenges, they have something to return to. They're not just left out at sea. So one can take the base camp in the form of related to a mountain, to exactly what you described now, your small boat harbor. But the important thing is that we need to set up something that in our journey, in business or in our life's journey, that we can have something to refer back to when we do get into trouble, when we hit unexpected challenges, whatever they look like and whatever they might be.
Yes.
So whilst my coaching is not, and I don't want people to get to misread this, that I only coach around this base camp, it is part of the coaching process, because David, I coach in business because I have a strong recognition for what it takes, okay, and experience for what it takes to actually run a business, for what it takes to start a business.
Yes.
And I've seen so many times through my own experience that people, businesses, a lot of leaders or business owners, will run their businesses based on the numbers. The numbers is a result that we're trying to achieve. How we get those numbers sometimes gets lost in somewhere on the mountain. And we need to realize that actually we need to focus on the people that are responsible for getting the numbers. And how do we develop them?
I love it.
And we cannot develop them and get those people, develop them to become high-performing individuals and teams, because we do operate in the global village. We're no longer isolated in that respect. And so competition is rife. It's a highly competitive world that we live in. We are also influenced by external circumstances that are beyond our control, one that we've currently experienced since March last year in terms of COVID. We have no control over that. So what do we have to go back to that we do have 100% control over? That's our base camp. Who we are, what informs us in our journey. What is that we can, our core values, what is that we can reference back to? And then if we need to go back to it, we go back to it. And that is something that's solid. That's something that doesn't change irrespective of the external circumstances. What we need to do is reference back to that base camp, and then from there we can decide how are we going to adapt the core of who we are, the core of who our business is, to the external circumstances. So how we get there might change, but the summit doesn't change.
Okay.
The route that we take might change, and how we get there might change. And that's where I will walk the entire journey with my clients. And I need to elaborate on that. I'll work it with them, not for them.
Exactly. A lot of people think when they go to a coach, it's going to be a matter that the coach will do the work for them. Surprise. Nope. You need to do. It's so important. Transformation comes from inside.
Absolutely. I love that, David. So what you just said, and that's so true, because I suppose it's the same, there's a lot of programs out there, and there's a lot of courses that everybody has access to. And there's billions spent on leadership development and employee engagement in the United States or in the world. And yet, why do we have such a leadership crisis? If so much money is being spent on leadership development, and there's so many courses and everything, because we will have a 12-week course or a 5-week course or an 8-week course. And what happens after that? We need someone to walk that journey with us, to hold us accountable, and to someone who's sitting on the outside, but has an idea of what it's like to be in that position in business. And I most certainly do. I've been through the highs and lows of business, and I've learned great lessons from both, more from the lows.
They say you always learn from things that's disastrous or failures and those things than success. And that's the truth. Coming from multiple failures, we learn every time. It's not about, like they say, it's not about the failures, but it's about standing up and doing it at one more time.
Sure.
I always see that picture of that one that they show on Facebook, the two miners going after the diamonds and the one giving up just before he hit it.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on, we need to push it. Now, Steven, we've got a message for you from Maggie Naidu.
Yes.
She's watching the show and saying, "Hi, David and Steven, whoop whoop. And Steven, I can help you overcome your fears. Just contact me."
I will do, Maggie. I'll be interested to how she help me overcome my fear of death. but I will.
I'll join you on that one. I'll join you there.
Actually, you know what, David? I don't fear death. I mean, it's something that's going to happen to all of us. So I accept it. I'm just not ready for it to take that risk right now.
Correct.
Mm.
Correct. I agree
So,
with you. And
yeah.
climbing Mount Everest doesn't fit for me. If there's an elevator up, let's talk.
No, I'd love
But
to
yeah,
climb it. I'd love to climb it. I'm just not ready to take on that amount of risk. So maybe one day, or not yet. Maybe one day I will. But I will speak to Maggie on that as well.
that is
If,
awesome. And
if maybe
then
she can
Leo,
help me make that day come sooner.
awesome, man. Awesome, awesome. And then we've got a message also from Leonie saying, welcome, and we are privileged to have you with us. Everybody is excited. I know the people that I've spoken to is saying awesomeness because, it's so important in today's life to know that we've got somebody like yourself, Steven, that can actually just step up and offer your time to people and say, listen, let's help the people stand up, because where we're living in today and age, um, everybody needs just that somebody to say, listen, there's a hand, let's pick you up. And this is why I love what you're saying about the base camp, because one thing that any climber knows, I remember when I was young, I grew up in the Free State, so I was always in the mountains. A climber will always put out his hand to help his fellow climber. So this is what you do for the people, and we're excited. And yeah, guys and girls, I want to tell you something about Steven. He is amazing. You cannot miss his show. He's going to be teaching you a lot, and he is also amazing with a lot of other things that he's doing, but I'm not going to share that. That you have to see in the coming shows. Steven, if there's any closing words that you would like to give to people, what would it be?
I just want to say to people that establish what your summit looks like. Embrace your own Everest, because whatever your journey is, it's going to be a challenge. So I'm going to ask you, Liza, please don't think or don't have the expectation that A, you're going to achieve what you want to overnight, that B, it's not going to be without its challenges. It will be. But when you've got, and this is the significance of having a well-established base camp, is when you got something that you can refer back to, that you are in 100% control of, coupled with the fact that your summit remains in the position that it is, all you have to do is give yourself the highest probability of addressing those challenges that you're going to face along the way. And you might have to reroute, you might have to detour, you're going to get stressed. We all have these emotions, we are all human, and we are not bulletproof. And you will encounter these things. How do you deal with it? That's important. And I believe that everybody has the ability to achieve that which they want to. There's no guarantee,
Yes.
but wow, they can give themselves the greatest possible chance of achieving that. And why not?
I love it. I absolutely love it, Steven.
Yeah, so I want to say to them, just if they want to find out more, David, we've got quite a few shows that we're doing together now every Thursday coming up. And this is just the start of it. What I've said now hasn't even scraped the tip of the, I don't want to say iceberg.
Definitely.
We're talking about mountains, but we haven't even scratched the surface yet. And there's so much that I can offer,
Definitely.
but I know that we're limited for time. So what I'll do in the upcoming series is I will share with you and your listeners what is, over the next few weeks, what does it take and what is required to establish your base camp? What is required in terms of a mindset to actually go on this journey? But when you're coming from a place from inside that you are in control of, it doesn't make it easy, it makes it easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Steven, and I just want to add this on to you. We've got a comment here from Suman Espata, and this is fitting in perfectly. She says, my biggest takeaway from being mentored by Steven is know where you are and every step of your way relative to where you want to be going. Message from Steven Levy. And I agree with Suman 100% there. It's from a personal side, being coached by you. I know that's the truth. You learn and you teach us to know where we're going. And it's amazing, my friend. It's been a true pleasure and honor. I'm looking forward to every Thursday. This is going to be totally amazing and a journey. And listeners, I want to actually invite you, if you're listening to this and you're implementing what Steven is sharing, do us a favor, send us a comment, leave us a comment, send us a message. Let's encourage our leaders like Steven that's offering his time for us, and just show them that we are listening to them, because making changes, small changes, will make a big difference in the long run. And this is what you need to do. You know, the hardest thing to do is, if you want to sculpture something out of a big rock, you need to start chiseling away small pieces at a time. Big pieces will break off and it will damage your artwork. Start doing it one bit at a time.
Yeah, I
Steven, I
think
really
that's,
appreciate your time, my friend.
yeah, David, I think that's also, it's prominent, profound what you said. And I think that, you know, I've shared this with you before, is that I have two simple rules for leadership. And the reason I focus on leadership is because for me, leadership is the conduit for individuals and
Yes.
organizations to get where they want to go.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's why I focus on leadership. The other thing is that leadership needs to understand that, well, I work with two simple rules. Okay, the one is it starts with you, and the second one is it's not about you.
I like that.
Because leadership also needs to show their teams and those people that they're leading and how to establish their base camp, but they cannot do it if they haven't done it themselves.
Yes.
And that's
Love
all
it.
it's part of the journey, David. It's not rocket science, it's just part of the journey. And as I said, it's simple, but it's not easy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I just want to let you know, in the comment sections of the video, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever we've got it, you will find the contact details for Steven. Get in contact with him, start chatting to him. You will be amazed at the transformation you're going to receive. This is not just something that I'm saying because I'm working with him. This is something that I've personally experienced, and I can testify to what this knowledge will do for you. So guys, go and talk to Steven. You will not regret it. Steven, I have to say thank you for this. I really appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to being back with you on the show next week, Thursday, 1 p.m. right here. See
David,
you all
thank you
there.
very much. And thank you for your time.
It's my biggest pleasure, my friend. Guys, we'll